Good morning, Paran. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thank you. This is our first socially distanced live interview. So how exciting is that in July in London today? So welcome. So Paran, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself before we talk about Wechat e-commerce?
Sure, yeah. I'm Peran from Connect Plus. We're a platform that helps international brands sell cross-border to China on Wechat. Most of our team are based in Shanghai, but myself and a small team based in London, essentially working with UK brands to navigate the very complicated cross-border e-commerce process.
Fantastic. So this morning we're going to be talking with Paran about cross-border e-commerce on Wechat and why to even consider it. So the first question I have to ask is, we're obviously coming out of post-COVID recovery here in the UK. A lot of UK brands are struggling, because there is now, due to social distancing, there is a limit to how much capacity one can have with Chinese consumers, but also there's increased demand from Chinese consumers in mainland China due to the fact that customers that would have flown over here to go shopping currently can't, but they still have a demand for those brands. So how important is it as a UK brand retailer to be looking at cross-border e-commerce to China if you aren't currently doing so?
I think now more than ever, cross-border is absolutely crucial, and especially from the perspective of the other opportunities. So brands might look to set up an entity in China. It can take a super long time, 6 to 12 months just to open a woofie. But cross-border e-commerce really enables a method in which to test your brand in China. You might see a little bit of traction, maybe your products might be on Taobao or some UGC on a little red book. But really understanding what products and how your brand is perceived in China, cross-border can really allow you to understand that.
And I think from a perspective of mitigating risk as well, so the cost of, say, going on a Tmall platform, the cost of having a wholly owned foreign enterprise is significant. And also you'll have to put customer service function in, and you'll have to put in logistics function. So to test the market, see what SKUs sell at what price, it's a very good starting option, isn't it, for brands looking to do cross-border to China for the first time?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as another option, like you mentioned, Tmall, it can definitely be a good channel, especially for sales. But they often require quite high platform deposits. You have to invest very heavily in marketing and also operational costs, continually increasing year on year. Wechat and cross-border through a direct consumer approach really allows you to kind of take control and essentially start small and begin to build your awareness and start to understand your brand in China.
Absolutely. And for anybody who, like me, has ordered quite a lot from Facebook in the last couple of months, things for the dog, things for your children, and then you find you wait 8 weeks to get it from China, it works exactly the same way if you're not using a proper platform and you're in China and you buy from a British buyer and things get stuck in customs. It's highly frustrating. And it's not really a good look for your brand, is it, in terms of looking for a speedy way to get something to a consumer in China, and then they find they're paying increased tax when it arrives through their airport. So
Exactly. I mean, a lot of brands already through their website, they might not even have a Chinese website, but they might be selling to China through their regular global website, but they'll encounter a number of difficulties in doing so. One of which is cross-border logistics, fulfillment and shipping. It's essentially, they're usually shipping very traditionally through a kind of personal postage model, whereby the consumer isn't paying any tax on the product. And like you said, what this means is it can be stuck in customs until that consumer pays the tax. And this can take weeks. The consumer might not be receiving their product in 1 month plus. The Chinese government have really been pushing towards a more authentic and new kind of e-commerce, cross-border e-commerce model. And what this means is that working with the right platforms, brands can charge the consumer the tax upfront. By doing this, you can significantly decrease shipping times, but it's also a far more traceable journey, both for the consumer and for the brand. Chinese consumers, both buying domestically and cross-border, they want to know where their parcel is throughout the whole journey.
Absolutely. And also, there's nothing worse. You might have spent, let's just for argument's sake, say you spent £100 on a pair of shoes in the UK, and then the consumer is paying significantly on top of what they thought they were going to pay in tax. they're not going to be very happy. And then you've got the whole thing about returns and the whole thing about customer service. So obviously logistics is one issue, but payments as well is something that if you are in mainland China, you're expecting to pay with WeChat Pay, Alipay, China Union Pay. So that's another challenge for brands is how to pay.
Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of brands face difficulties. Of course, mobile payment in China is the key method of payment.
Absolutely.
Offering the likes of WeChat Pay and Alipay is absolutely crucial. Being able to convert that traffic into consumers.
Yeah.
Traditionally, brands will work with WeChat or with WeChat's payment service providers in order to settle RMB payments in the UK or in the US, in Australia, for example,
Yep.
Without the need to set up an entity in China. And that's the key point. A lot of brands will face difficulties saying that they need to set up an entity or set up a bank in China and be able to kind of receive GBP payments, but this isn't the case.
Yeah.
Working with trusted payment service providers and acquirers, you can receive payments, i.e. through WeChat on the WeChat mini program, and have that money settled in the UK. This kind of process is getting quicker and quicker. A number of providers in the UK, for example, can settle in T+2 days or twice a week.
Yeah.
So you're no longer waiting weeks for this payment to be settled in your UK bank.
Absolutely. I mean, from first-hand experience, it's not just setting up a woofie that takes time, it's getting a Chinese bank account. It's being able to send FAPI hours. It's all of these things that this mitigates and makes life so much easier for UK brands to test the market. So why WeChat then as a channel for e-commerce? So why are you developing on WeChat? And why have you developed a solution on WeChat and not used another platform?
A number of reasons, really. The first reason is the ability to sell direct to the consumer.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, you have full transparency over data.
Yeah.
You have control over your branding.
Yeah.
So working with the likes of Emerging Communications or
Yeah.
a marketing agency to build your brand on WeChat.
Yeah.
To really kind of understand that whole customer journey. So WeChat, over 1.1 billion monthly active users that you can target,
Yeah.
leveraging influencers, i.e. KOLs, paid media,
Yeah.
to target your target audience and then really be able to understand the data and the customer journey. WeChat mini programs are very versatile in their functionality and they provide the ability for consumers to buy cross-border.
In terms of why WeChat, it keeps everything in one ecosystem, so it's a lot easier for the consumer and it's a way that they're used to shopping. If one is to look at other platforms, the financial commitment is quite significant, and provided that the money is then spent on marketing to drive traffic and demand to the WeChat store, you're in the best possible ecosystem. And it's just a way that the consumers are used to operating and the way that they're used to doing business, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, WeChat has the opportunity to really allow you to test your brand.
Yeah.
Unlike Tmall, there's no huge deposits.
Yeah.
Once you can set up your store and set up as an overseas business within WeChat, you can start to allocate the media budget, the marketing budget as you see fit to try and understand who your consumers are, what products work.
Yeah.
So when you do look to kind of to diversify into more aggressive sales channels, you understand what works and who your audience are. So budget is allocated efficiently. Another key method is social commerce, which is huge in China right now.
Absolutely.
Consumers are no longer looking for a purely transactional purchase experience. They want to be entertained. WeChat, as an inherently social media platform, provides a super engaging shopping experience. The likes of their live streaming function opened up earlier this year.
Yep.
Enables you to engage with KOLs in China to promote your product. The ability to obtain your own fan base or private traffic within WeChat to keep communicating with on a long-term basis.
I think the key really is it mitigates risk across the board.
Exactly.
All too often brands will spend an awful lot of money on their production lines to localise their products, localise their SKUs to the Chinese market without even having tested it. So that could be down to sizing if you're in apparel, but it could be down to colours, it could be down to what particular products are popular. And if you can test that market by using your existing inventory, then it's obviously going to be a lot less expensive. And all too often with brands, it might only be 3 or 4 SKUs that will be hugely popular. It might be 80% of your revenue and 20% is the other SKUs. So then the argument should be, well, they should be your hero products that you're marketing. which brings me perfectly onto marketing. So how important is it? So we obviously work together because we're not software engineers, you guys are, and we work with clients that want bespoke solutions as well as out-of-the-box solutions. But if you've got a store and you're not actually marketing that store, what then happens to...
I mean, WeChat is an inherently closed ecosystem.
Yeah.
So without marketing, you'll have no followers, you'll have no consumers. You need to start with paid media, testing different paid media formats within WeChat, engaging with the right KOLs to really drive traffic to your WeChat official account and also to your mini program store as well. It's essential to work with the right marketing partner that has that ability to identify the KOLs and the media that suit your brand in the market to drive that follower base. Once you can start to build your fan base within WeChat, you then have the ability to drive loyalty, repeat purchase, that brand equity, which is not what you're able to do on the likes of Tmall. Essentially, you want to build that private pool of traffic within WeChat that you can continue to engage with.
Absolutely, because another thing that we find with brands is that they might engage and collaborate with the KOL, which is the right thing to do, spend a lot of time curating content and a story, but if they don't have a platform and they don't have an audience and a community themselves, the KOL has got that community. So it's very, very critical to grow the WeChat community within your own brand environment. But also, if you're not actually promoting your brand, your products, your SKUs on WeChat to the right audiences, which is critical, with the right story, then you're just going to basically talk to yourself. And I don't know how many brands you've spoken to, I certainly do. I don't understand why we're not selling anything, and I find that they've got 4 followers. I mean, you have to build that WeChat base. And it's got easier actually in the last couple of weeks and months, just because trending videos are now appearing on your top navigation. You know, if you really like and follow certain friends or certain groups and they've got trending video, then that's going to go to the top. So video format's very important when we work together.
Exactly.
In terms of marketing.
From a platform perspective as well, making that trackable.
Absolutely, yeah.
We see a lot of brands, and I'm sure you're the same, that come and you might engage with a KOL and all you get is awareness or a huge impression number. But what does that mean? The ability to work with the platform, creating the likes of trackable QR codes that can be seeded amongst different media platforms, different KOLs, to see the actual value and how that's contributed towards your business as well.
I think that's a fairly critical piece, because I know a lot of brands are concerned, and rightly so, about clickbanks and the fact that they might work with a certain media owner or KOL and it's all about follower numbers, and actually that's largely irrelevant in my mind. It really is about engagement, it's about sales. Exactly. And it's about shares.
Especially now.
Absolutely. So, if you work with a brand or with a media owner and somebody says, we can get you a reach of 10 million, you really want to see case studies of engagement and sales, because that's the proof in the pudding, because anybody can buy followers in China.
Exactly.
So Paran and I will be running a webinar in August. So please, on this video there is an email for info@emergingcomms. If you wish to be invited to that live webinar, then email us. Follow us on YouTube. We're always putting videos and interviews on there. It's been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to running this webinar with you in a couple of weeks' time, and it's great working together.
Great.
And I think now more than ever, brands need to be looking at cross-border e-commerce with China. The timing is perfect, and it's a really good way to mitigate risk and to grow revenue. Thank you very much today.
Cheers.